Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, today we will discuss about as we discussed in previous videos about migration. In this video we will discuss about adaptation, climate change and the importance of agroecological approaches. Specific impacts of climate change are largely unpredictable. We know broadly that temperature will warm, that rainfall patterns are likely to change, and that an increase in heat will affect soil moisture, crop yields, and animal well-being. A recent World Bank report emphasizes in general an increase in extreme of water scarcity, heat, and sea level rise are most significant impacts to be felt in South Asia. With the climate information we have available now, what predictions we can make about the specific impact of climate change on crop production are still at very aggregate level of predicting impacts on crop yield at global or regional levels. Yet to take steps to adapt to climate changes, we really need to know what the impacts of climate change will look like in a farmer's field or at least in a particular region. Given this degree of uncertainty, often the best course of action is to adopt no regrets strategies, approaches that provide benefit to farmers regardless of the kinds of climate impact that will be seen. Indeed, the broader consequences of climate change for agriculture production, as noted above, are too far reaching to not prepare. Adaptation must begin now. A range of practical no regrets approaches can and should be taken to make farms and farming system more resilient in the face of unpredictable heat and rainfall. Adaptation strategies that build resilience will also build stronger communities and local economies weather difficult times. Whether that can better withstand climate shocks with reserves of food and other resources to help weather difficult times. Support for resilience building no regrets efforts should be prioritized, and national adaptation plans and donor-funded initiatives. Some of the most important no-regret agriculture adaptation technologies and practices in this slide, we discuss about specific impacts of climate change that should be monitored and should be should be controlled through policies. As we understand that, we know that broadly temperatures will warm and the rainfall pattern will be changed dramatically, and it will either increase the heat and affect the soil moisture as well, and the crop production would also be affected on it. And the recent report is World Bank also shows that the sea level will rise and the soil will be filled with salt, and the crop production will be affected, and more than 10 million people would have impact on these climate change. And scarcity of water is also one of the main problems of Asian countries. In future, water scarcity is also our biggest threat and problem for the South Asian economies. So all these shocks which will impact the crop production and will also impact the life of the people, all these impacts are of the climate change, and the climate change can be controlled through policies and adaptations by the government in order to reduce uh, the carbon dioxide gas and greenhouse emissions, and to control the broader consequences of climate change for agriculture production should be controlled through different policies, and farmers should be given proper subsidies, and they should be given some projects in order to sustain their crop production and to make food security in the region safe as well. So in the next slide, we will discuss about soil building practices. Soil building practices add organic matter to the soil, thus build up soil structure, soil health and fertility. Practices include mulching, green manuring, cover cropping with or without legumes to add nitrogen, crop rotation, and the addition of the compost and manures. By building the health of soils, farmers increase the water holding and infiltration capacities of the soil, buffering their fields in time of drought. A healthier soil with better structure is better able to hold on to nutrients, increasing soil fertility and at the same time reducing pollution and water waste. An important co-benefit of the soil building practices is that productivity is increased as fertility increases. Another important co-benefit from the soil with better soil structure and plant residues covering the soil is protection against the soil erosion anticipated from the heavier rainfall expected from climate change. So, soil building is also very important practice in order to make higher production for the croppings, and farmers before cultivating their crops they first prepare their soil structure through building organic matters, and when they provide organic matters with it, and these organic matters changes the soil structure, and the soil structure is more fertile at that time. And when the farmers hold the cropping, and then when they put their seeds in the soil, they have better cultivation of the crops, and due to soil practices and making the soil fertile, the farmers get more production in it. So soil fertility is also very important for the climate change, and for improving the soil fertility and building better practices, that productivity will be increased and the fertility will also be increased through preparing the soil structure with organizing the organic matters and involving organic matter in the soil.